Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Terri Morrow and I'm here with Catherine Haleko. Say hi, Catherine.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Catherine and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. This week we were going to discuss a West Wing episode, as we usually do, but the West Wing Weekly podcast took a week off, so we will get to that episode, The Black Vera Wang, next week. Fortunately, Catherine saw a movie that we can plug into that space, and we also watched the movie Amelie and 2 more episodes of John from Cincinnati. Boy, could those be any more different.
Yeah.
I think you said that last week.
I did.
Art direction alone is like 2 different worlds.
Exactly.
But first, Catherine, what did you see?
I saw the movie The Big Sick.
Okay.
Which came out earlier this summer. And actually in my area, it came out in the movie theaters, it went away, and it came back.
Really?
So,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it must be, doing so well that they brought it back or something. I don't know. Or other movies are doing so poorly that they needed some more stuff.
I heard a lot of the big summer blockbusters did not bust blocks, so
yes,
maybe they're bring that little arty film back. Yeah. So I've heard good things about it, so I'm interested to hear how you liked it.
I really liked it a lot. I thought it was really well done. It's a romantic comedy, but it also, is not always funny. It has drama for sure, just with the relationships and with the sickness of the title. It is basically the true story of the comedian Kumail Nanjiani and his wife, and they, I believe, wrote the screenplay together.
I think so.
He plays himself in the movie. His wife is played by Zoe Kazan.
Okay.
And it's just really good. It's funny, but it's not like the kind of like doubled over hilarious funny that, a comedy you might want it to be like that. But
it's not a comedy like Spy was a comedy.
Right. I mean, it is a Judd Apatow, whatever.
Adjacent
I never
property.
know how to say. Yes, he's involved in some way. But yeah, it's very warm and sweet, but it's not treacly. It's got great performances from the 2 actors, from Kumail Nanjiani and Zoe Kazan. Also, her parents are played by Ray Romano and Holly Hunter.
Oh, wow. I want to see it just for that.
Yeah. And Zoe Kazan and Holly Hunter, they make them look really alike in this movie. I mean, they definitely... I was sitting there thinking like, wow, I totally buy those 2 as mother and daughter. Cool. And it's just about, her character spends half the movie in a coma. So it's more about the relationship between Kumail and his parents and her parents. So he gets to know her parents for the first time when she's in a coma.
Wow.
And then meanwhile, his parents know nothing about her and are trying to set him up with a Pakistani girl because they want him to marry a Pakistani girl.
Yeah.
And the big fight in the movie happens when Amelie, that's the Zoe Kazan character, when she finds he has a box full of like headshots of these women because his mother is basically trying to arrange a marriage for him, and so these women just quote unquote drop by when they're having their like Sunday dinner, and they bring along a headshot. And he has a cigar box full of these pictures, and she finds it and she says, "Are you judging Pakistan's next top model?" But then of course it leads to a big fight because that's how she finds out that his parents have no idea she exists. And so but it's, I, of course, teared up several times, as I want to do. But I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot.
Sounds like something that I would like. I await its arrival on Netflix eagerly.
Yeah, I think you would like it for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like the sort of thing that you could see on a smaller screen.
Yes, you could, for sure. It's very, all the settings are comedy clubs and little apartments and hospital
Actually,
rooms.
sounds a lot like something that could be an extended episode of Master of None.
Yes, it did make me think of Master of None, for sure. Yeah. Because it was the sort of relationship between him and his family. And at one point he says to his parents, and he's not really trying to be cheeky, but he says, why did you want us to come to America if you didn't want us to live an American life?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great question, and his parents didn't really have an answer for it. So
that sounds good.
I recommend it.
Big recommendation. Yeah, I don't think I've heard a bad thing about it. Pretty much everybody I've heard talking about it, as is my way to never see things but only hear people talking about them.
Right.
But people have talked about it positively. So
yeah, when I went to pull up the show times on my phone, it said that it had like a 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
So you get to go out and see grown-up movies?
Once in a while.
Do you go with a friend?
Yeah.
What's that like?
It was nice.
I used to see movies.
I enjoyed it.
I remember. I think the last movie I called a friend and said, let's go see this movie was Julie and Julia, which was how many years ago?
But didn't you see Moana and then your kids protested that you didn't take them?
That's right. That's right. You're very right. I did. I told my friends I wanted to see that, and we saw that. So yes, okay. So it is more recent. That's good. I feel better about myself.
Yeah, that was like
that was not that long
No.
ago. Did you ever finally see
I
it?
actually have not seen it yet. Can you believe it? I know.
Future challenge
Yes,
round coming
absolutely.
up. Yes, not for this week, but I will put that on my list. Yes. But you should have to see it with have your kids seen it?
They have, actually, yeah.
Ah,
yeah.
And you just didn't. Even with the Lin-Manuel Miranda connection,
it's
you
terrible.
didn't run out to see it. What is wrong with you, girl?
I know. Well,
right.
I'm actually... We are planning a trip to Hawaii, so I'll have to see it.
Oh, my.
I'll have to see it before that.
Wow, that's something that we need to talk about on the regular version of the podcast.
Yeah,
that's got to be our. I'm going to write that down. That's got to be our intro chat for the next episode. What the heck? Hawaii, that's nice.
Yeah,
I've been there. It's nice.
I have never been, so it'll be my first time.
I went once with my parents and once on my honeymoon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, moving on from a little light comedy to a little what the heck was that show, we watched episodes 7 and 8 of John from Cincinnati, 7 and 8 out of 10, which was his visit day 6 and 7. And actually for John from Cincinnati, these were two pretty straightforward episodes.
Yes.
There was a recognizable plot. They had, storylines began and ended within the same episode, although it's certainly building to something. It was, especially coming after episode 6, which was completely mind-boggling. Yeah. This was sort of recognizably a episodic television show.
Yes, although I will say I'm still pretty confused.
As is everybody.
Right. So it's not like it suddenly became, LA Law or something.
That's right. But
still weird.
We do find out that Link, who had seemed to not be buying into any of this at all, is in fact affected and believes it was a miracle, Sean's recovery,
right? Which
we know it was. And so he sort of throws over his company, and, that was a satisfying
But my
bit of
question
business.
is, so he got Sissy to sign some kind of contract.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't own the company anymore, what did she sign? Like, for him to be his representative or something?
What I assumed was it was for him personally to be his representative, although they did say there was a non-compete, so I don't know how that happens.
Right.
But I think that, you see a bunch of people coming together to protect Sean, and I think that's what he was doing.
Okay.
That was his way of doing it, and a little bit of a question mark. But I like the fact that all the time we spent with Link and Sean's mother in previous episodes kind of paid off here. I really liked it when she listened to the guy's offer and then immediately went and
told Link
about
happening.
it. That was nice that they didn't. They could have like left that out and just made it a surprise at the end, but I liked that it was very straightforward.
Right. And then the other lawyer situation between Meyer and then the hospital lawyer.
Yeah,
that I was
Stephen
a little
Tobolowsky playing just a weasel.
Yeah. Well, I didn't quite understand why he was being a weasel to like what was going on between him and Meyer specifically. I understood when he came to Sissy and tried to get her to sign something that was weaselly, and she didn't do it.
Yeah. I think he's trying to steer them off into suing the doctor and not
the hospital.
Right. So first they tried to get him to sign it, and then he's handing over this smoking gun confession that the doctor made, thinking that will be an easy, and exonerating the hospital. That will be an easy payoff, thinking that these people want money, that he'll steer them in this direction. Right.
But they don't.
They're not going to, because they know what really happened and they like the doctor and they want to protect him too. Right. And so that was just a little bit of Baroque business, I think.
Yeah, that just didn't seem necessary or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember, I really don't remember the last 2 episodes very well and how this all came, if it pays off in some way or not, we will have to see in the last 2 episodes.
We will find out shortly.
Theoretically, we will see.
Right.
But,
we may not find out.
They had planned a second season, and then they had to just sort of wrap everything up. So not all will be answered. I don't think, but as I say, I don't remember 100%. But I like Bill and Freddie kind of coming together as the protectors. And, the scene where they're both taking their turns with John and can't get him. Bill can't get anything out of him. And
he says, fine, he's yours or something. Yeah.
And as though Freddie was going to kill him, but I don't think it's clear that John can be killed.
Well, yeah. Because he stabbed himself and nothing. He bleeds, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
His skin was unbroken, right?
Yes. So, I think they both know that, well, everybody knows at this point that he's somebody or something not of this world. And I really love that scene where, where Sean and Butchie are in Bill's house, and Butchie tells Sean to hit him on the back of his head, and instead he kind of pats him on the head.
So sweet. Yes.
Yeah, and just a lot of redemption going on all over the place. And at the same time that there's something just weird about Sean. He's, wishing that Zippy hadn't kissed him, and he's juggling in sort of an odd way there at the end, and turning up in Barry's vision. Yeah,
at the bar in like Two Roy Rogers or something. Yeah.
Lots of weirdness still, but it is all coming to a head at some point.
Yes.
But I sort of I didn't really remember exactly what took place in these two, other than I knew that the stinkweed stuff, that whole plot line I remembered. But and what's his name from Saved by the Bell? Was it Mark Paul Gosselaar?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Another person iconically known for one show, heard from.
Yes.
I was also thinking just on an entirely different than a plot level, but what an interesting challenge the hair and clothing people on this show had. I think some of these people have been in the same clothing the entire time.
Right. We're on day 6 at this point.
Exactly. And just, the hair work on Freddie, where he has those carefully placed, greasy-looking strands.
Yes.
And Bushy's hair has gone from, I think somewhere along the way, after he went surfing, he got some conditioner, because his hair had a lot more movement in that last couple of episodes, after being so just never taking a shower look for the first few. So it's like, you wonder how well they had this mapped out. Okay, we're moving towards, a happier time for these people. So we're going to just like wash their hair a little bit.
But just a little bit more. Just a little bit, not too much. Well, and then there's the whole thing about Butchie has some sort of implants in his...
Yes.
And is that supposed to be hair, or is it supposed to be like a weird sort of piercing in his skull?
I really wondered about that, and so I Googled around, and what I finally found out is apparently if you look up, there's a poster in his room somewhere where he has devil horns, and so the thought was he had like holes implanted in his head, metal like that you could screw stuff into.
Oh my
And then he
God.
screwed these devil horns onto his head. Yeah,
oh, that's disturbing.
So, under the influence,
well,
undoubtedly.
Yes, I'm sure. Wow. Okay.
But so that's the best I could find on the web about that, which made sense.
Yes, it does.
So not anymore. Now he's just going to go surf for surfing, and meanwhile, John is making terrorist-like videos with Cass. Somehow, he's like mentally roofing her.
Right. Exactly.
So that she doesn't remember anything, and she's getting pretty freaked out.
Yes. It's all freaky. That's for sure.
It's all freaky. I thought the bit about Kai having saved Butchie's surfboards was kind of sweet. Mm-hmm. I wondered where that was going when she turned up at somebody's house who we'd never seen before.
Right.
Not another character.
Right,
Come on.
Another new person. We got the lawyer. We got...
yeah. We've got the coffee shop people. We've got stinkweed people. We got all these people. And there's at least, well, I guess there's no other recurring characters because they can't really recur because there's only two more episodes. But yes, it will be wrapping up. But I am really enjoying watching it and listening to it and
getting back in.
Trying to remember where it all leads. Although you may have heard Sean will soon be gone.
Yes, I have heard that, as a matter of fact.
That is not over yet. Although he just spent the day at SeaWorld.
Yeah.
That was not what John was talking about.
Yeah.
And the bit of John just like turning up in the background of every scene was pretty creepy.
Yes.
Pretty effectively creepy.
Yes.
And not knowing if sometime people can see him or not, or looking at him.
Right.
oddly.
Or when Sissy looks out the window and she sees him and she's like happy to see him. She's like, oh, that's amazing.
You were right about being more miserable.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that was very funny. And then he says his little repetitive thing back to her, and she says, "Don't get hit by a bus." So, that was very funny. So you see people changing to some degree. She was pretty ticked with Mitch and kicking his stuff all over the place. Right. But he got a long vacation, that actor.
We haven't seen him.
What was the last episode he was in?
He's been gone. I mean, he was in for a second in the big speech John made, but
in the background. Right. But he's back in, I believe, the next episode. Okay. So, talking to Howard Hessman.
Sure.
As a heretofore unseen character.
Of course.
He's got to get a couple more recognizable actors in there.
All right.
So, 2 more episodes and this will all be over. But I kind of can't wait to watch them. And then also on the unusual side, but in a much cuter way, we watched the French film Amélie.
Yes.
Which was from, what year did you decide it was? 2002?
So I believe it came out in France in 2001 and in the U.S. in 2002.
Yes. And I had never seen it. You had.
Right. And I chose it because it does have some sort of surreal elements.
It does. Yes.
As John from Cincinnati has.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, as we discussed last week, it is like 180 degrees removed.
Yes.
Very, very, very different.
Much prettier.
Very pretty, very stylized, very Wes Anderson, as you said.
Yes. I felt when I started watching it, it's like, this is the French Wes Anderson. It just seemed such a strong vibe. Mm-hmm. And then the further it went along, it reminded me of a TV show called Pushing Daisies, which was on, I don't know, maybe 2007, I think, when I looked it up. And very much the same thing, the same look. It just reminded me of it. The narrator reminded me of it. Mm-hmm. So that's that's what it wound up reminding me of even more. But it's definitely Wes Anderson-y.
Just in terms of the colors and the sort of vintagey
and the
feel.
language and the, introducing people by she likes this and she likes that. And it, like, goes on for, like, 20 minutes. Everybody you see, it's like, okay.
Yeah. But then
Moving on.
Suddenly you can see Amelie's heart beating inside her chest. And that things like that made me think of John from Cincinnati, even though...
Yes.
Like, really, and there's no universe in which these two have anything in common. But but it was a fun, palate cleanser.
Right. It definitely was. It was very enjoyable. It's hard for me to watch things with subtitles because I'm unaccustomed to just watching stuff.
Right.
I'm always having to do something else.
Yes.
I am a multitasker. I could not work while watching this movie. I could play puzzles on my phone if I looked up.
Right. It looked up occasionally.
And the dialogue was very funny and cute and worth reading, mostly. But it was, as I feel with most things, maybe it's just my age, could have been shorter.
Yes.
I feel like that's just, I'm going to make a soundbite of myself saying, could have been shorter.
Could have used an editor.
I did certainly keep looking at how much time was left on the Netflix and saying, that much time? Crud.
Right. Maybe partly because you had work to do.
Maybe partly because of that. And just because it did feel like it could have used a little edit, don't you think?
Yes. Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that the filmmakers enjoyed their little things that they were having her do and wanted to do just a bunch of them. And okay, but...
Right.
Could have been a little quicker. Finally getting together with the guy could have been a little quicker.
Yeah.
But very cute that they were similarly oddballs.
Oddballs.
And maybe I missed something in the subtitles. What was they had dreamed about each other as kids, or had they actually had any contact?
I think it was, they were sort of both isolated and they were sort of having similar dreams or maybe visions or something.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't know each other.
Okay.
I think it was something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell whether it was supposed to have been some sort of magical connection.
Right.
Or whether it was just... The thing about her stealing her dad's garden gnome and sending it around the world was pretty hilarious. I enjoyed that. I couldn't figure out what she was doing with it until she started getting the pictures.
Why she took it away. Yes.
Yeah.
And
there were other things going on at that same time. I thought, what does this have to do with these other things? Yes. But it had nothing to do with these other things.
Right. Yeah, and she sort of was using her powers which were not magical powers, but her little strategies or whatever you want to call them, both for good and for evil. She was against people who deserved it.
Yes. People in her neighborhood need to lock... Well, I guess he did lock his door. She just made a copy of his key because he was being such a
He left it
jerk
in the
about
He left it in the door, and she stole it and made a copy. Yeah. But the other one was that the delivery boy had keys.
Right.
So
she also snuck into the landlady and stole her letters, right?
Yes.
So she could
But the door was left open.
Yeah. Yeah. People, let this be a lesson to you. Lock the door, take the key out.
I kept thinking, like, oh, these people have these nice apartments in Paris. She's a waitress. This other guy's like a shut-in who hasn't left his apartment in 20 years. Like, must be nice.
It's magic. It's just let art wash over you. That's
right.
Yeah, I think if people in real life had apartments like people in the movies and TV do, we'd all be a lot happier.
Yes.
But I remember... something about, I remember when Friends was on and people were talking about how fabulously large their apartments were for these young people in New York. And it was just basically that, we have to fit a camera in this space.
Right.
You really can't do a normal sized apartment, or how would we film it?
Yeah.
So.
This is true.
But.
They did on that show do a good job of making the boys' apartment much shabbier. Than the girls' one. And the girls' one had that huge, window thing.
Right.
So.
Yeah. But
that's neither here nor there. But you enjoyed the...
I did enjoy it. I did
silliness and lightness.
That if you look up the word twee in the dictionary, it would probably have the name of this movie. It's the word that came to mind. Also a word that was applied to Pushing Daisies. So, but, it was cute. I'm trying to think how they made a musical of it. Well, I wonder how they did that exactly.
Well, it wasn't a successful musical.
It wasn't a successful musical.
I mean, it didn't last. It's successful in terms of it didn't last very long.
That's right. That's right.
But,
I'll have to listen to the soundtrack and see if I can match it up with the movie. Just every time she did a little something for somebody, she sang a song about it.
Right. It doesn't surprise me, I guess.
Yes. Really good. I noticed really good casting of the little girl of her. Mm-hmm. They must have just looked around. We need a child with really big eyes that we can put a brown wig on.
Enormous. Yes, she did.
But the transition from child her to adult her was very natural because you could see that it definitely was the same. It seemed to be the same look.
Yeah. A pleasant couple of hours, I would say.
A pleasant couple of hours, yes. And if it had been in English and I could have done something while I was watching it, it would have flown by.
You would have loved it.
Yeah. But, since I've been talking about how much this reminded me of Pushing Daisies. And since I have to come up with a challenge round for you for next week, why don't we just go ahead and watch an episode of Pushing Daisies? Because you have not seen it, and it will be good to watch it right after we saw this, so we can see we can compare and contrast from challenge week to challenge week.
Sounds good.
So it is available on iTunes for rental, and I think you're going to get it from your library. But so, folks, if you want to watch along, that is a way you might be able to watch it. Right. It does not appear to be on any streaming service. Netflix has it only in DVD form. Okay. But we will watch the first episode, which is titled, it's the pilot, but it's called Pie-lette.
P-I-E.
Yes, for reasons that will become clear.
Okay.
I won't say too much about it because it's a pilot that pretty much establishes the whole show. So I think that you could have an enjoyable experience watching it by itself, and I don't think there's any episode following it that would make any sense to watch. So, and it's been long enough since I watched it that I don't really remember individual episodes too much. So I think this would be the one to watch, and it will be interesting to see. It definitely has some of the same look. I actually Googled those two shows, Amelie and Pushing Daisies, and I found an interview with the creators that said that they wanted something somewhere between Amelie and Tim Burton. So that's actually a pretty good description. And also that the music supervisor said that Amelie was his, what they were going for.
Yeah, there is great music in that.
It's an acknowledged parallel that goes beyond the fact that they both have narrators, but that's probably what spurred it in my brain first.
Sure.
So that will be our watch for our challenge round, and we will try again with the West Wing episode, The Black Vera Wang, and I'm excited that the West Wing Weekly podcast is apparently going to have Mark Harmon on to talk about it. Yeah. And then we will watch the last two episodes of John from Cincinnati before it goes surfing off into the land of canceled. Right. Okay. So that will be it for today's round 2. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Terri.
Goodbye, everybody.